On today's show, can we or should we expect transparency and accountability in today's world of mass media? And a 6-year investigation by King 5 News creates an explosive report. This and much more on today's Top of the Morning. Please stay with us. Welcome back to Top of the Morning. In the world we now live, mass media and access to instant content has complicated news gathering and delivery. King 5 News in Seattle creates many reports per day, and one of the most fascinating sections is their investigative reports. You might be able to imagine the amount of effort and resources it takes to muddle through everything from courts, documents, surveillance, footage, official statements, and more to gather information to create accurate reports. And here to discuss these topics and much more is longtime King 5 investigative reporter, Chris Ingalls. Welcome, Chris. Appreciate you being here on the show.
Hi, Ken. Emphasis on long time there.
Long time. Yeah. Actually, I was thinking, man, when I was in diapers, I think you were still... No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm kidding.
I was reporting on the news that night. You bet. Yeah.
How long have you been actually?
So actually 31 years in December. Yeah. So I'm a survivor. Let's say that.
Wow, 31 years. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I know off camera we asked, how long have you got left? And you just, as long as you're still loving news.
Yeah, still loving what I'm doing, and we'll see. But I don't have an end date in sight yet. Let's say, yeah.
So you're, as an investigative reporter, I'm always very fascinated, very interested in that sort of venue of reporting. How did you determine that you wanted to be on that side as opposed to, and what would you call them, just a standard reporter?
Yeah, a general assignment reporter, a daily reporter. That's what I was for a number of decades. You get an assignment or you pitch an assignment, either way, early in the day, and you're reporting it on the 5-6 o'clock news that night. So that's a daily news reporter, general assignment reporter. It really, investigative reporting kind of called me instead of the other way around. I was a former police and courts reporter. I was able to find and break my own stories, and a news director thought, hey, would you be interested in working with an investigative unit, where you do more of that kind of thing, where you're finding information, building a story from the ground up, investigating. Really, it's called original reporting, right? It means you're finding the story. You're not getting something out of the paper and repeating it. It's original reporting, and that's kind of where I got pulled into that. Yeah.
So you're not being assigned a story. You actually have to go out and find these topics.
Yeah, I mean, most of the time, people always ask, how do you find a story? It comes from a variety of ways. Investigators at king5.com. That's our tip line, right? Anybody can send us an email, and we read every one of those, and we look, for stories that way. I may read a story in the paper, and I think there's more to look into here, right? Or another reporter at King 5 may come to me and say, hey, I worked on this thing today, but I think there's more to do here, and I've got to go onto something else tomorrow. So a variety of ways, and we sort of take it from there.
So do you get special sort of training for that, or is it just because you went to school, I'm assuming, to be a journalist?
Yeah, I'm a mass communication major, from many decades ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's what they called them back then.
Yeah, back then, right. And it was television, marketing, and journalism kind of all rolled together. Yeah.
And in the early days, you had a camera operator. Did you have a producer on scene with you?
Not usually.
Okay. But you had a camera operator, audio?
Yeah, no, not audio.
Okay.
It's usually a 2-person crew.
Okay.
Today, a lot of the daily news reporters are they call them multi-skilled journalists. So they're doing the camera and the reporting and the editing all by themselves.
So multimedia journalists.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Okay, so on a daily report or on a daily schedule, if you were an assignment reporter, then you would be given a story. You go do this, whatever it is. What is your timeline like for your stories?
Yeah, so that's the key difference, right? I mean, the investigative unit's job is to find things that aren't easily seen or can't be put together with a couple of hours of work. Our unit is looking at things that are of public importance and of public interest that may connect the dots for something. Sometimes there are people that are trying to hide things from the public. And our job is to research and get to the bottom of those things and report on them. There's no specific timeline for how long it takes us to do a story.
Okay.
We've turned some of them in weeks. Sometimes we're working on things for years.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so do you have more than sort of one story you're working on
All
at
the
a
time.
All
You
the
have
time.
many balls in the air. Yeah, that's the
Okay.
way it works because, some of those things just don't come through. Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk real quick about the world of especially reporting, journalism,
Yeah.
TV, mass media, news, whatever. It is no secret that it's a challenging world, right? And
Yeah.
so how do we know when a story is legitimate
Yeah.
and not fake news, which there is,
Yep.
right? Let's be honest, there is some that's been bad news, not just bad news, but bad reporting or
Bad journalism, sure. Yeah.
or agenda-driven journalism.
Yeah.
How do we know?
Yeah, it's a tough one for people. And the reason it's so difficult is because now information is coming from so many different sources, right? And so, when you talk about the word fake news, I always tell people to back up from that a little bit. If it is fake news, what is it about it that's not real? What is it about that it's not legitimate? Is it not sourced? Usually a good news reporters trying to be transparent as possible on where they get their information. For instance, in the King 5 investigative unit, we don't usually put people on behind a screen and they're just a silhouette. Our general operating procedure is here's this person's name, here's what they do, here's how they know what they know, so that it's transparent, right? And so I think, although it's difficult for viewers, readers, listeners, you do have to ask critical questions about why are they reporting this? What are they basing it on? What is the information they're providing me so I can see how they reached the conclusions they reached? What's out there a lot, and I don't want to get too long in the answer with this question, but what is out there a lot is websites, podcasts, what have you, that comment on news stories that other people have found. They're not doing that original reporting. They're basically doing commentary on those things. So, commentary is people's opinions, and you need to be aware of that. We try to deal in a fact-based world. Yeah.
So, but the key word being try. So,
Yeah.
would you agree, Chris, that everybody has a bias?
Yeah, I mean, to a certain extent, I would agree with that, and I think part of our job is to try to think where are we wrong with this. We try to call that out in ourselves. That's part of our job to try to do that. But does that mean we're perfect? That doesn't mean we're perfect.
And so King 5 actually has the moniker Truth. I forget.
We stand for truth.
We stand for truth.
Yeah,
Thank you.
right.
So, and of course, I've watched some stories.
Yeah.
And I have thought personally. There's something that happens in journalism, and I don't know if it's because they have not necessarily King, but anybody, if you have an agenda, but something that's called wordsmithing, where you can change one word to make it mean a completely different story.
Yeah.
So but that's one of those very small nuances,
Yeah,
right? So
yeah.
how do we find those? So
Yeah. So first of all, if you see that, I mean, what I would recommend to people is contacting the journalist and saying, I don't think this was fair because of this, I mean, if somebody sends that kind of thing to me, I read it and I consider it. Now, I get a lot of things that I don't think are valid, where I do think people have their own personal opinion and they're applying that to, the facts of the situation that I'm reporting on, and it may not be accurate. But yeah, I mean, I think it is challenging for people to do that, but you sound like you're being a critical viewer, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
I think that's a good, healthy thing. And frankly, in the going on 40 years now that I've been in this business, those people have always been out there. It's just that it used to take them time to write a letter, put postage on, and send me that nastygram in the mail. Now they can do it pretty quickly with an email, and that gives me really good feedback. So I think being a critical viewer is perfectly, I think that's excellent.
So, and you make a great point there, because it isn't just the responsibility, I guess, of reporters, whether they are video or written publications. The viewer themselves have to be more critical and not just buy everything that comes on or accept, right?
I mean, that's the world we live in.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no way around that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
tough.
Yeah, I mean, how do you? I often think about this because obviously being in the media world, how do we really circumvent all of the stuff that you just mentioned, the podcasts and the commentary and the whatever, and we have so much content available, and in your world, is it actually shrinking a little bit? Like newsrooms are shrinking, Because let's face it, you have to make money
Yep.
selling news.
Yeah, we're a business.
Yeah. And is some of that business being siphoned off?
You know, we're still seem pretty healthy and strong at King, you know. I mean, they've kept an investigative unit around. We're the most expensive people in the building because we're not delivering product every day, right? We're not putting a story on every 5 o'clock news every day. And so we're journalists that are working on fact checking and stuff in the back room. That's not delivering the product where you're going on the air. And they've, you know, our company so far, thankfully, has held on to that and held it pretty dear, I think. So I feel like we're pretty strong in that area.
Okay, so we know that salacious sells. What would you advise viewers that what they have to do when they're watching the news to find the news rather than just find, you know, the looky-loo stuff? You know what I mean by, what is it, when it's hot it leads or bleeds it leads, that kind of thing?
I'll say this though, Ken, right now, you know, we know what people are watching because it's clicks, right? So we know what people are clicking on. So there is clickbait out there. I think we do have genuine journalistic discussions about that. You know, what is salacious, and what is meaningful, and what is meaningful. What's the reason we're playing it? There are stories that just take off on the internet, and we may get millions of views on one of our stories. You know, sometimes that just happens, but if we're being overly salacious, I think people call us on it. I think we get a lot of criticism about that. You know, and that's one of the things we evaluate.
So the newsrooms actually pay attention to that?
Oh, they really do. They really do. It's part of what we do.
Okay. And one other thought that I have, I've read The Guardian, you know, The Guardian, and certainly not certainly not a right-wing newspaper or anything, but there's nothing less genuine than a genuine fragment of a video, meaning that context has got to be everything. Yeah. How do you respond to that?
Well, I do. You know, I tend to agree with that. Although I will say, at the heart of our job, it's editing, right? I mean, we are doing this 2-minute story on the school board meeting because you didn't go to sit there for 2 hours, right? And so editing is what we do. You know, the part of the journalistic integrity is that when we show that fragment of video, we have to use it in context. And sometimes that's very frustrating because it's, you know, in a short amount of time, there's a whole, you know, there's this much, and we're going to this. We're trying to get to the heart of the matter in a fair way. But that, again, I would say is part of our job to make sure we're providing the proper context for that.
Okay, well, when we come back, we'll take a look at a recent story that Chris and the King 5 team of investigators at King 5 did. Please stay with us. It will be fascinating. And welcome back. Accountability is often a top priority for the investigators at King 5. But what does that look like to hold individuals accountable? Let's take a look at an alarming story from Chris and his team at King 5 News.
Sex, drugs, and contraband. Newly released videotapes expose the dysfunction inside the Green Hill School in Chehalis. Glad you're with us at 6:30. I'm Greg Copeland.
I'm Madison Wade. The King 5 investigators opened and obtained evidence after a rash of employee arrests at the state's maximum security lockup for young male offenders.
Chris Ingalls begins the story with a crime where the key piece of evidence is a burrito.
This woman, walking in the distance, has a special delivery. The hooded woman steps up to the gate, rings the intercom, and announces she has a DoorDash delivery. You're watching never-before-seen video of one of the more brazen crimes at the Green Hill School. Green Hill is the state's overcrowded detention facility for young violent offenders, males ages 17 to 25. Once inside, the woman hands a food bag to security. Later, a hooded Green Hill employee appears at the security checkpoint, takes the bag, and walks away. 2 weeks later, it happens again. The same woman on foot says she has a DoorDash delivery. But this time, at a second locked entryway, an alert security officer in a control room just off camera is suspicious.
She said she was DoorDash, and she showed me the food, she took it out.
That's when she recognized the woman in a black hat and hood, as she told police in this recorded interview.
I confronted her. I did say Angel, and she looked at me in shock and she said no, and just looked at me, made this weird front face, and again said no.
This time, when security took the food bag, they opened it to find this: 2 burritos filled not only with meat and cheese, but a potent form of marijuana called wax. The drug-filled burritos were for a young offender, and it wasn't DoorDash making the delivery. The hooded woman was a former Green Hill employee who was fired last year.
Right. Ms. Meisner, it's my understanding it's your intent today to enter pleas of guilt to the original...
Weeks after her arrest in March, in a plea bargain, a Lewis County judge sentenced Angel Marie Meisner to 2 years in prison for smuggling drugs into Green Hill.
What is your plea?
Guilty.
With its school, vocational programs, and intensive counseling, Green Hill is supposed to rehabilitate young offenders.
They're just warehousing them over there. They're not really delivering the rehabilitative services that were the core of this program.
John Braun, the top Republican in the state Senate, says the burrito case highlights the failures at Green Hill.
It just stuns me that somehow we're allowing this to continue.
Consider that this is Meisner's second Green Hill-related conviction in a matter of months. She was among a spate of female employees, at least 6 that we know of, investigated and fired in the past year for improper relationships with Green Hill inmates. Records show some smuggled in contraband like cell phones, shared intimate photos, enabled fights and misconduct, and even videotaped their sex acts with inmates. We obtained these Green Hill surveillance photos of Meisner kissing Robbery Thompson, a 22-year-old serving 40 years for 2 murders. Chehalis police records show she kept him supplied with sex while she worked at Green Hill and drugged burritos after she was fired.
Hello, this is a free call from an incarcerated individual at Washington Correction Center.
Can't wait to be able to hug you without being scared that I'm going to get caught. I love you.
Recordings captured inmate Thompson's phone conversations with Meisner after she was fired.
I really do think that we can help each other to be better people.
These calls reveal Thompson is having sex with another Green Hill staffer, who police identify as Emily Baker. Meisner forgives him because...
And paid attention to me and not just sex or what you can get out of me. The fact that I'm actually valued as a human being.
Count 1, tampering with a witness, and count 2, abuse of office. Do you understand the charges against you?
Yes, ma'am.
Emily Baker has pleaded not guilty to a long list of charges involving sex, contraband, and an alleged plot to plant drugs in vape and dab pens on a co-worker suspicious of her relationship with Thompson. Why is all this happening in there?
That I really can't tell you. I'm not really sure.
Chehalis Police Chief Randy Kaut can't explain it, but he knows it's keeping his detectives busy. The city in which Green Hill is located investigated a record 21 custodial misconduct cases involving employees last year. Detectives say Meisner, Baker, and Michelle Goodman sealed their fate with sex tapes that are now in police hands. These are some of the suggestive or nude photos that at least 3 more employees sent to inmates. And police investigated other staffers like Nicholas Judson, accused of picking up burrito deliveries and handing them over to Robbery Thompson. Judson has pleaded not guilty to smuggling contraband.
You got to scratch your head and say, why does this keep happening? How do we allow this type of behavior to continue to happen in this facility?
Yeah, that was that's pretty powerful stuff right there, man. And what was the outcome, or has there been?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that story aired just a few weeks ago, but you know, we've been investigating Green Hill School for 6 years now, and so 6 years after our public scrutiny, this is what you see happening in there. What is the outcome? I'm not sure. I mean, one of the questions we have, of course, is hey, state of Washington, what are you going to do about this?
So to be fair, though,
Yeah.
The family? What is this?
Department of Children, Youth, and Families?
So the
Yeah.
DCYF
Yeah.
office
Yeah.
responded to some of that
They
and
did.
said, this sort of behavior is not unique to Green Hill. So, and then they also said that they've had a lot of influx, a lot of crime,
Yeah.
raising crime in youth, and then 25-year-olds are now allowed there. So they don't feel like, it seemed to me they felt like we have excuses. I don't know if that's the right way.
I don't know if that's the right word either. I mean, imagine the job of doing this work when there is this juvenile crime is just exploding right now, right? And to make things more difficult for them, there was a law that was passed, 5 years ago now, that allowed the juvenile rehabilitation facility to hold youth up to the age of 25, because a young man's mind isn't really fully developed until he's 25. So now you've got older people in there with these younger kids, and that's it's a difficult environment. So you're right. I mean, they have explanations for why this is happening. I found it a little surprising they would say this is happening everywhere, because when you see kind of a crazy story like that, and it almost sounds like they're shrugging their shoulders and saying, well, it happens everywhere. Yeah. And that's not a good answer.
Yeah, I think maybe that is, again, excuses is really not the way to say it. But there is, in context,
yes,
more to it than just we have these problems that are happening.
Yeah, and I'm hoping to get a more long-term. I've requested an on-camera interview with them, which is really what's of value to us, to talk about this and give them more airtime if they're willing to do that. Many times they do turn us down, I can say, but I want to give them a chance to speak their mind, definitely. Yeah.
So you have also focused on some other youth sort of related stories previously, so this is obviously new. There was another one that you did. Can you do you remember that one? Or
well, we're talking about Green Hill School still, or something.
Let me think if I can look at my notes. So
I'm trying to think too.
The Office of Family and Children's Ombuds.
Oh, sure, yeah.
That was a story that you did.
Yeah, that was a story where,
foster
again,
children.
the Department of Children, Youth, and Families, and I know it sounds like I have an axe to grind with them. I don't. They have a hard job. They were taking foster kids and having them sleep in their offices overnight. And we had video of these kids with blankets and pillows sleeping in the lobby of a building because they were keeping them in hotels, and our story sort of exposed that some of these foster kids were, we were told they were even sleeping in caseworkers' cars sometimes, and we were just questioning why that would be the modus operandi, And so, yes, that's another story and another issue for the Department of Children, Youth, and Families.
Did anything develop from that
They
story?
did. So they did ban those lobby. They denied there was anybody ever sleeping in cars. They banned any use of lobbies for kids to sleep in. And I think they greatly limited the amount of hotels. And they tried to place these kids in foster homes, which I think the research shows is best if they can find them a good foster home.
But isn't that also a huge challenge?
Huge challenge. Yeah, huge challenge.
A lot of foster. So then what? I mean, I just think, well, what do you do with kids that can't get placed?
Yeah, right. And then there's the other side of that, where some foster parents say that the department makes it very difficult to be a foster parent. So there's a lot of things going on there, and I know I'm the gnat that's kind of flying around, that is pestering them even more. But we do spend a lot of money in the Department of Children, Youth, and Families, hundreds of millions of dollars each year to help them do this job right.
I want to back up to that. I could not believe the audacity of that former Green Hill employee.
Yeah.
That shows up.
Yeah. And the question that I had, Ken, is what is happening in this environment that somebody like that, and not just one person, but as you saw in that story alone, there's several people. What's in the environment there that makes people think they can get away with that, right? That's one of the overarching questions, I guess. Yeah.
And it needs to be answered. What are you working on next? What's the next?
I can't really say what I'm working on.
Oh, come on now,
next.
share with us.
Yeah, but I can tell you that. I can tell you what I'm probably working on tomorrow. And this is how our investigations work, and we may follow them for years. I've done some stories about common police gun that the police officers carry. That the gun has faced many reports that it fires on its own. So officers will have it in their holster. They'll get bumped during a fight or something, and the gun goes off. And so the manufacturer In fact, it's gone so far that the State Training Academy, Police Training Academy, has banned the use of this very popular handgun in their facilities, so recruits can't train on them. So this manufacturer is going to court tomorrow suing the State Training Academy, trying to get that ban lifted. So that's how an example of how we will follow things. I'll turn that story tomorrow, the same day I cover it, and that's probably next on my agenda.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what would you say to somebody that would love to do what you're doing? Where would they start?
Yeah, there's so many places now for them to start, right? I mean, the thing is, don't hesitate. Start. That's what I always say. I started at my college radio station. Just doing a little radio newscast. Nobody else was really doing it there, and so that's the thing. I mean, now there's many different kinds of news outlets with blogs, websites. You're probably not going to get started in Seattle. You're probably going to go somewhere smaller. Work for a smaller website. At my particular place of employment, you need some kind of degree usually. As I was telling you off camera, we have a number of people from Bates who've come and worked in our production staff before. Find somewhere to start and get started. That's what I say, because it does take learning on the job. That's when you really become valuable to a news organization.
Okay. Well, great. Well, Chris, it's been such a joy having you here. I know you had to drive like halfway across the state.
Yeah, it felt like it today. Yeah,
it felt like it today. Yeah. But it's been a pleasure having you. I've been watching you for years, so it's been great. So
it's been great being here. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Yeah. So, thanks again for joining us. If you would like more information about King 5's investigations, please visit their website at www.king5.com/investigators. This has been a production of the Broadcast Video Production Program at Bates Technical College. If you would like more information about a career in broadcasting and digital content creation, please visit www.batestech.edu/broadcasting. Thank you for joining us. My name is Ken Witka. We'll see you next time on Top of the Morning.